listening to the Betmaker Show. This is the golf PGA off-season European Open betting odds preview for Thursday, September 5th, 2019. And now, live from Las Vegas, the host of the Betmaker Show, Brian Blessing.
Hey, you thought golf was done. Wrong. Brian Blessing, Cam Stewart, ready to rock and roll. The wraparound season is going to start next week with points that count towards the 2020 season on the PGA Tour. They're rocking and rolling over in the European Tour on the back end of their season, hanging out in, I'll let Cam. Hamburg, Germany. Wattenkeimer. Could I have an interview? But they got some big events coming up. They got the KLM Open in Amsterdam. The BMW PGA Championship in Surrey, England's a big one. We know the Dunhill Links is a good one. And, you know, you got that race to Dubai. So European Tour's got a lot of cool stuff coming up too, bud.
Yeah, it's interesting, too. Even the week that they're playing, Brian, Schauffele went over there. Patrick Reed went over there. Kuchar, a lot of the Americans. But so far, Paul Casey playing in the wind. It looks pretty good. And, you know, the one thing about Paul Casey is we've taken him a lot at the Masters, and he's a guy that I'm going to be looking for in the future as well to put future bets on. It's all about the putter. When you're him, well, his ball striking is world class. Everything about his game is flawless, Brian, but I've never seen a guy – maybe other than Hideki Matsuyama, that still needs a lot of work on. His driver's now loose, but Paul Casey missed so many putts inside of 8 feet. How many majors or tournaments would he win, Brian? Because when you watch this guy play, he could really go low.
Cam, the fall wraparound season, I think it's a good tipping point, and we'll dive into some of the newbies. But to see who may be good for us next year, I think this is a time of year where we kind of can find our price plays for next year. You know, the CT Pans, the Sung Jae Ims, guys like that. But then over in the European Tour, this is their home run time of year. This is the back end and the big balloon money at the end of the year. It's their FedEx Cup, basically.
Yeah, it's interesting, too. And look at the guys who have stepped up on the European Tour. You know what I mean? When Rory McIlroy goes to a playoff, you expect him to win. But, Brian, it's weird. And it's a hard tour to follow sometimes. And we watch every stroke of every tournament. But there's a lot of guys coming out of nowhere right now. Like, you know what I mean? We don't even know these guys. And they're popping up on leaderboards. The European Tour, for guys, if you're following golf and you're betting golf, watch it. It's on in the morning. Get up with your cup of coffee if you got kids, you know, and just focus on the European Tour, because a lot of the time when these guys come over to the States, you get a bomb prices on these guys, right, Brian? Because people don't know, like the Eric Von Ruins of the world. You know, this guy was absolutely fantastic, and now people are starting to know him, and we used to get him at 100, 125 to 1, and he's top 10 every week on the European Tour.
Buddy, next week is the Greenbrier, which was moved to the fall as part of the revamped schedule, which was a home run for the PGA Tour. I think there's going to be some real – I can't wait to see when the numbers come out for this. What just happened, and I know you were rocking and rolling and maybe didn't get a chance to see too much of it, but you've watched Q School in the past.
It's the best. I've covered it, Brian, before. Like, you know what I mean? When I on assignment. No, Q School – is something this is why I love golf. This is why we do this, Brian. When I watch a hockey player and, you know, say he sucks, you know, what do we say? He's stealing money. At least in golf, everyone's like, oh, the purses are so big. Wow, these guys are playing for so much. Yeah, trying to get there, it's a lifetime in itself. Guys like Rich Beamer living in cars. He was selling audio out of there. Not every kid grows up with a silver spoon in his mouth and rich. Some guys have to really grind it out. And that's it used to be the old web.com, now Corn Ferry Tour. Brian, this is crazy. Like knee bucklers to try to, you know, change your life. You can go from poor to actually affording steak, or you could be eating Kraft dinner and ramen noodles for the rest of your life if you miss a putt.
And that's no joke. I mean,
that's serious.
You're not clowning around. He's being dead serious. This thing last week, it was on Labor Day. It was a holiday. And I just shut my brain off. I said, you know what? Football's coming. And I just sat home. I didn't bet anything. I watched a movie, or we had a cookout. Then the last hour and a half of the Corn Ferry Tour comes on. It was the coolest thing I've seen all year long. These guys, the kid Doug Gim.
Oh, Doug Gim from the University of Texas. He'll be on our radar. He's good.
He comes to 18, and they know where they stand. The top 25 guys are going to get their PGA Tour card. He hits a great drive. It's a hard driving hole. Hits a great drive, and the pressure gets this kid snap hooks one into the bunker, downhill lie, probably a 5% chance. I'm not kidding you. It was such a tough shot to get up and down to make the tour. And he had to par the hole, and he knew. And he hits it about 12 feet, buries it. You would have thought the guy won the U.S. Open. And then there were so many clutch shots. It was amazing. I'm giving credit to the guys that did it. DJ Trahan came to 18, and you had to see the fire. Like he was so jacked up, had to birdie 18. Brutal hole. Had to birdie 18 to get his PGA Tour card, and then needed help. Knocks it 3 feet from the hole, makes it. It was so clutch. It was amazing. And I'll give you one more. Then there was this kid, Chris Baker, and he's playing in Indiana in front of his hometown fans. And he comes to 16, and it's in the cookie jar. He's making the PGA Tour. If he bogeys, if he goes one over on the last two holes, Cam, the kid 3-putt on 17 for a double. So now he comes to 18, and he needs a par to make the PGA Tour. And they've talked about this kid. He struggled with big moments throughout his career. He hits a drive in the bunker. I mean, the guy needed a diaper, right? And then he hits a great shot out of the bunker, and now he's 30 feet below the hole. What happens when you're nervous, Cam, and you're on the green?
Oh, you leave it short.
He's got a 30-footer, a 30-footer, 2-putt to make the PGA Tour. He left it 9 feet short. And you're sitting there going, oh, this poor guy.
Yeah, it sucks.
This poor guy. And he hits the putt. Hands are shaking. He pushed it. You could see it. And the thing, it was bleeding away from the hole. God bless the guy. It somehow wobbled in the side door, and he made it. I'm telling you, from sheer drama, it's one of the most unbelievable things you'll ever watch on an annual basis. But now we can make money on these guys, Cam.
Exactly, and there's a lot of good players and names that you've heard before. DJ Trahan used to be on the tour. Brian, he's kind of faded away into obscurity. We know Richie Wierenski more about for his driving of the golf ball. It's funny who's the best moneymaker during all this. It's just for men. Because Rob Oppenheim was saying, like, literally, he looked in the mirror and he saw his hair turning more gray, through stress level in this tournament. A lot of these guys are losing their minds. Justin Harding, a good player from South Africa, he was in, then he wasn't in, Brian. Like you say, it's drama. And a lot of these guys, we've watched them before, and I think we're going to be jumping on some of them. Like Doug Gim, as you say, he's a guy that's definitely going to be on my radar. The University of Texas golfers, we talk about Jordan Spieth. He's been there. Justin Thomas, another Longhorn. And Doug Gim has the tool. And for him to get in, Brian, think about that. The weight of the world off his shoulders. And he's a guy I think can play world-class golf. I'm going to be watching him very closely.
For outstanding information and special offerings and promotions, we invite you and encourage you to sign up for our newsletter today simply by going to the website at betmaker.com. I will tell you, bud, this course was set up with 5-inch rough. I mean, it was no joke. Tom Lewis, the Englishman,
he's good.
Was a last-minute decision. He plays on both tours. So he plays on the European Tour. And at last minute, he said, I'm going to go over and do this and see if I can get my PGA Tour card. So this guy comes over. He shoots 23 under, 1 by 5. And the announcer's saying, there's no way we thought anybody would get anywhere close to 20 under par. And he lipped out an eagle. He could have shot 25, 26 under. Cam, this guy was piping at 315 right down the middle. He was flag hunting. He was pouring them in the middle of every putt. And I'm telling you, now they're saying he's nuts. If he goes, this is what happens with this thing. He's nuts. If he goes back for the European Tour, he's gonna buy a house in Florida, and he's going to be on the PGA Tour playing for a lot more money. And the odds are he shows up at the Greenbrier. And if he does go back to Europe, mark him down. But the form this guy showed in this tournament and the momentum he's got, I bet you this guy will be 50, 60 to 1 for the Greenbrier. I would play him right back. He was that good.
No, I've watched Tom Lewis play, Brian, on the European Tour, and I've seen him on leaderboards before. He does have a good game, sometimes a little bit loose, but that's what happens with some of these players, right? Excuse me. They have that one bad round, and they can't figure it out after that. So that's the thing. We're going to get these guys.
The pressure to have a card and just to get into these events. Now a guy like this,
you're playing without his money.
It's a free roll.
It is a free roll.
He's in all these tournaments. He's not sitting there just trying to, finish 25th to earn $27,000 to get him enough to get into the next tournament. This guy's in. He's playing with house money.
And another guy, Brian, even though he didn't do great in the final, the Tour Championship there, Scotty Scheffler, another Texas guy. He was number one in combined points, number one in the finals. He finished T7, but he's another guy to watch out for. If you watch a lot of golf on the weekend, and you've seen on the Korn Ferry Tour, his name pops up on leaderboards week after week after week. So that's the thing about this. And a lot of, established guys right now, right, Brian? What are they going to do? They got money. Patrick Reed, the guy's a clown. He bought a Masters Porsche shooting over par in Europe, right? A lot of these other guys, I've made my money. I don't need to play in these small events. And this is where we can take these unknown guys or guys on lesser tours and get a nice price with them too. So yeah, Scheffler, Gim, and you said it, Lewis, definitely guys to watch.
And just a quick story. Cam will get a kick out of this. I hope you guys do too. I did keep watching the police blotter and see how Lanto Griffin is doing. You ever heard of this guy, Cam?
Yeah.
Lanto. Okay, wait.
Sounds like a Star Trek character.
Let me tell you why. Justin Harding, who showed up in majors and actually played well from South Africa.
Yes.
Comes here and he has this big lead or cushion, and he's in. He misses the cut. Okay, so he's gone. He's gone sitting at home watching like I'm watching, and basically as he's watching this, he's in. But then Trahan birdies and all of these other scenarios happen. But with about an hour to go in the thing, he just needs this Lando Griffin guy just to, not lose his spot, because it will then drop Harding down below two other guys who actually tied with decimal points. That they actually gave out 26 cards, not 25. So Justin Harding is home watching this thing. Lando Griffin on the back nine has got this massive cushion, and Harding, he's home. It's Labor Day. He's having a cookout. He's watching this thing. Lando Griffin birdies 11 to go one under on the back nine. He hits the 13. He takes a triple. He gets to 14. He bogeys. He comes back. He birdies 15 and 16. So Harding's back in. And then the Griffin character, who's locked in, he don't even care anymore. He's made it. He doubles 17 and then gets to 18. And the guy needs to birdie the hole. If he birdies the hole, Harding is in. If he pars the hole, Harding is out. So this Harding's probably home playing Russian roulette with 5 bullets. And the Lanto Griffin guy stiffs one 3 feet from the hole at 18. And so Harding's like, I'm back in. And the guy missed the hole from 3 feet.
So Justin Harding's going to hire some goons to go after. Where does this Lanto Griffin guy live? Thanks.
Where does he live?
Exactly.
I'm like, what do you mean Lando Griffin's car went off a cliff?
Knock.
Who's
there? Hire goons.
What do you mean his car had no brake fluid?
No, that's crazy. And we laugh, and it's funny, but, and we all know people. I've known guys who played on the Canadian Tour. Brian got to, go to a lot of events on the PGA Tour when I used to, work and cover the Masters and such. And that's the thing about golf. When people talk, they make so much money and they're giving away this much at the FedEx Cup. Well, you never seen this side of the coin. You have to go through this strenuous, rigorous, it'll kill you. It will. That's what Oppenheim said. My hair's gray. I'm losing my mind. I don't know if I can continue to do this. And there's a lot of guys who are always on the cusp. Year after year after year, they have to do this. And man, it's tough. Like even for a pro, like you think about your family, your future, you got kids. That's the difference between living well and living very, very poorly. It's tough.
Well, I think we're callous and jaded. And yeah, and it's a bottom line thing. And I get it. We're here to try to make people money. We're just telling some stories here in a little open window. But as we're going to start plotting these courses, but stuff like this, makes you realize it's not just about the winner in a tournament. There are so many subplots and angles and things that are in play for head-to-head matchups. Like I said, this was one of the most compelling things I watched, and I'll be rooting for some of these guys moving forward. But I would tell you one of the greatest moments this year in golf was in your backyard. And that was them talking about and him knowing what the situation was. And that was Graham McDowell needs a par on 18 at the Canadian Open to play. His mission goal all year was to make the British Open and play on his home course in Ireland. And the pressure got to him on 18. He just needed to par the hole, gets himself in a pickle. He's got to roll in a 35-footer on the last hole, and he's like, 20th in the tournament. And he had to make the 30-footer, and he knew the situation to make the British Open. He poured that in. You would have thought he won the Grand Slam.
Oh, no, I remember the interview afterwards. He was losing his mind, and he needed that. Yeah, you play a major tournament in your own backyard in front of friends and family. And, Brian, you bring up such a good point about betting this stuff moving forward. Just looking at some of the names, too. Fabian Gomez, he's in. We know him from the tour. David Hearn, he's been in contention many times before. Lost in a playoff. Canadian Open, he pissed it away in the final round. Got real close. But all these guys, Wierenski, Tran.
How about this guy? I think, and the funny thing was he was firmly entrenched in, and he was just protecting. So he had two middle great rounds. But I'm telling you, and I bet him a couple of times this year, watch out. I think Grayson Murray could win a tournament next year.
Grayson Murray bombs it. I'm with you. He's one of those guys. He had a really hot start, and then he faded away down the stretch, right, Brian? And that's the thing about betting on golf, too. Some of these guys, early season players, late season players, you got to be on top of this stuff, and it's usually streaky. Like we've seen it, like Rory Sabatini, a good example, He's there, boom, all of a sudden, 6 weeks in a row he's in contention, not just one or two. You have to follow these guys, and it's kind of like life. When your biorhythms are good, you keep on playing and you do really, really, really well. Grayson Murray's a guy who's got to put it together for a longer period of time, but it's going to be a lot of fun, Brian. And I hope, you said it. Betting golf is very tough now. There's a lot of guys, 140 guys, 142 guys in a field, one person wins. So while we're doing this show moving in the future, top 20s, on crazy, crazy bombs, top 10 matchup bets, you have to diversify your portfolio because hitting that one time. If me and Brian actually, for all the times we've been betting golf, we used to exchange phone calls every Sunday. Second place guy, second place guy, second place guy, lost in a playoff. If all of those just went the other way, we'd probably be banking another 50 grand in our bank account, maybe more.
I ended the season. Hey, I hit a home run. The whole season was a success. I had Lowry at the British Open, 80-1. Okay, that's why we love this stuff. But how does the season end? Cam, the stuff we talk about the majority of the year. I had Cantley the week before and Schauffele in the last week. Finished second. Okay, so here's my prediction. We'll wrap it up. But I think from a money-making opportunity, and we'll get the actual numbers and we'll follow up on this podcast next week. My prediction is guys took a little break. They're coming back. It's a diminished field. The stars aren't going to play. They're thinking about the President's Cup and stuff like that. I'm telling you right now, my prediction is one of these guys that we just got done talking about, one of these guys that comes out of this final event on the Corn Ferry Tour and got his PGA Tour card, one of these guys wins that tournament next week. That's my prediction.
I agree with you, and I'm going to be betting probably my six-pack with all guys from that field, and you talk about it with golf, right? These are guys also, Brian, look what they had to do to get in. Pressure situations, already thinking about golf. Some guys are sipping margaritas going, who am I betting on in the NFL game this week, right? So these guys are already in the thick of it, and now they say, this is a great opportunity. The stars are gone. I can make my money now in tournaments like the Greenbrier. Well, the Tigers are away, the Schauffele's are away, the Rorys, all these other guys, you don't have to deal with some of the best players in the world. So, yeah, I agree with you 100%, and we'll be throwing it down on some of these guys who qualified.
All right, two guys I'm definitely playing next week. I'm playing the Lewis guy if he shows up, which I think he will. He could go to Europe. And I'm definitely going to play Grayson Murray. And in head-to-head matchups, I'll fade anybody that's playing in the same group as Lanto Griffin, just on the premise that they get caught in the crossfire.
Blame it, Lanto. I hope Lanto's got friends in South Africa because Justin Harding, you better sleep with a baseball bat at night.
Wait. Why are the guys in Lanto Griffin's foursome wearing Kevlar vests?
Exactly. So, I got one for you too, Brian. Since you were bold enough to make a prediction, I'm going to ride the Lewis train with you, and I'm going to go with my boy Doug Gim. I'm actually watching Golf Channel as we're doing this podcast, and I really like what I'm seeing right now. Maybe it's a sign. I've always liked Dougie Gim before as low amateur in tournaments. Yeah, he's going absolutely wild right now. Doug Gim and Lewis, great pick. I'm going to ride them both.
He's Cam Stewart. I'm Brian Blessing. We love teeing it up for you, talking golf.
Betmaker, let's make some money tonight.
Well, that's the Betmaker Show for now. We publish multiple times each week. We'd like to thank you for listening, and if you liked what you heard, please take a moment to leave a rating and review, or subscribe to our show feed, or share our show with a friend or two and help us grow the show. We very much appreciate it. Visit us on the web at betmaker.com. And reminder to sign up for the newsletter. Thanks to our engineer, Darren Vandermolen, and producer, Mike Gallivan. The Betmaker Show is a production of Cardinal Marketing Incorporated. Betmaker is a registered trademark. Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of this content without the express written consent of Cardinal Marketing Incorporated is strictly prohibited.
The handicapping and sports odds information contained on this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Please confirm the wagering regulations in your jurisdiction as they vary from state to state, province to province, and country to country. Using this information to contravene any law or statute is prohibited. The podcast is not associated with, nor is it endorsed by any professional or collegiate league, association, or team. This podcast does not target and is not intended for an audience under the age of 18. If you think that you have a gambling addiction, stop this podcast now and please seek help.
Gambling and betting on sports is a form of entertainment and should be about having a good time. But when done excessively, it may negatively affect other areas of a person's life, such as their physical and mental health, school or work performance, finances, and/or interpersonal relationships. At Betmaker.com and The Betmaker Show, we're concerned about the addiction that gambling may cause, and for this reason, we encourage everyone to practice responsible gambling, an approach to gambling that helps you ensure that it remains an enjoyable activity. Here are the main principles of responsible gambling. Don't think of gambling as a way to make money. Always gamble with money that you can afford to lose. Set limits and stick to them. Never chase losses. Don't gamble when you're depressed or upset, and create a healthy balance. Always be aware of how much time you spend gambling or thinking about gambling. And do not allow gambling to cause you to miss out on time with family and friends or time spent on other activities you enjoy. By following these guidelines, gambling can be a good time and great entertainment. If you feel at any time that your gambling is taking away from important areas of your life, is causing you stress or depression, or is leading to financial losses that are beyond your control, please reach out for help. Learn more at responsiblegambling.org.